And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello there, my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek. Hey, where there's a party, there's a pinata. Or maybe even, where there's a pinata, there's a party. How about that? Today we're going to look at Pinata. It's a two-player card game from Rio Grande Games. Now, this is based off of the great card game hit called Balloon Cup. Now, Stephen Glenn's the designer. This is really his original intention for both rules and design and theme idea for this game. So it's a very interesting re-implementation of a hit game, two-player card game. Plays in about, the box says 45 minutes, but I see it more than like around 30 minutes. It's a lot of fun, really interesting. Let's check it out, show you how it's played, how it differs, and how it is kind of the same as Balloon Cup, but different enough that it may still stay in your collection. Let's check it out. Okay, since Pinata is only a two-player game, I have a two-player game set up. And here we have each of the two players are randomly dealt 8 cards. Again, these would be in their hands secretly, but they're on the table to show you for the purpose of the video. We have a draw pile. We have a bag of candies here. Those candies are placed on the boards. As you can see here for the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of those boards has that many candies that are randomly associated colors to set up the board. Also, you notice the boards have, some of them have a down arrow that are sort of orangey and reddish, and some of them have an up arrow, which are sort of blue and purplish. These are randomly put either high or low. We'll talk about that in a moment. And we also have some medals over here that will tell you who wins the game. So let's take a look at that. What you're trying to do during Pinata is you're trying to win some of these candies. And if you win a certain amount of these candies, you will win these awards. And the first person to win 3 of these 5 awards is going to be the one to win. So for example, the first person to win 3 yellow awards will win this card. And conversely, the first one to win 7 candies of red will win this award. And as you see the candies on this one specifically, there's 2 purple, 1 red, and 1 pink available and up for grabs on this board. So let's talk a little bit more of how an actual hand works. Just wanted to show you the cards here, is that the cards you'll get randomly are made up of the different colors. You'll notice the reds, the greens, the purples, the pinks. You'll see a white. Whites are wild, and then they're at different numbers, and the numbers actually get larger, and there are different amounts of numbers for each color. So on your turn, you will basically play 1 card and then pick up 1 card. And the different cards you can play depending on the types of candies. For example, on this one, there's yellow and red candies. It doesn't matter the amount of each of them, but there's different candies here, yellow and red. That means I can only play either a yellow card, a red card, or a white wild card. And also over here, for instance, we have 2 purples, a pink, and a red, so I could play a purple, pink, or red card. Over here on the single one, there's only 1 candy, because of the number 1 here, and it's green, so you can only play a green here. So what I would do is, let's say if it's my turn here, I would play a 2 here because it's a low number, and since this number pointing down, whenever the amount of cards that's shown on its respective board is on each side of the mat, it will stop, and then the person with the lower score will score this candy. Conversely, if we were playing on this board, for instance, and we each had 3 cards on each side of the board, the person who has the most points, because this is going up, you want the higher score, would take these 3 candies. So I placed a 2 here because I think I have a good shot at winning this. Now they have, I took a gamble because maybe I thought, well, they don't have a 1. They don't have anything lower than a 2. They have a 1 wild, so they could actually kind of steal this candy from me. They'd put a 1 here. This would stop and score immediately because, again, the number 1, you only need 1 card on each side. The 1 is lower than the 2, so my opponent would win this green candy, and he would pretty much take it, and then these cards would go to the discard pile, and then this would get flipped. So now it went from being a low side to a high side, and it would randomly get filled from the candy bag with 1 piece of candy, and now it's pink. Now the person who lost that scoring gets to go first. So, and you remember that after every time that you put down a card, you have to pick up a card. So this person would have picked up a card that he discarded. And so we move on. So let's say we wanted to go for, over here, a high 3. So again, you would place it here, I'd put a 4, and then I would pick up a card to replace it. My neighbor might try to battle me for this, and he'll put a red 5. And so he would then take a card to replace it. I would then put a red 6 maybe, and I would take a card to replace it. The highest thing he has is a 4, and then he would replace his card. And then I would play, maybe my next highest card that I have that I could play there is maybe a 3. And I would replace it. And then maybe this person just feels like, well, I'm not going to win. He's going to get more points than me. I'll go somewhere else. So maybe he kind of goes over here and he puts a 1 pink because they're trying for low down here. Once you've played on your own board the amount of cards needed, which is on the board, so this is 3. I've played 3 on my side of the mat. I can now start playing on my opponent's side of the mat. So since this is going to be a high score, I'd want to throw something very low of one of these colors on the other side of the board. So maybe I threw a 3 here, and so now that there's 3 cards on both sides, the game would stop. This would score. I have 13 here, and there's 12 here. So I would score this and win it. I would get these 3 candies to me. These would discard. This would flip to the other side, and then you would fill it with that many candies. Now this would continue to go on until any person has gotten enough candies to score any one of these awards. For example, if I had just gotten my 3rd yellow one, even though I have 2 here, let's just say I had scored my 3rd one, I would take this award that says 3 yellow and I would put it on my side. I put my 3 candies on top of it. Same with all the other ones here. You can only score 1 of these per turn, but once you've had scored any 3 of these, if I had gotten 4 pink, 5 purple, and 3 yellow, as soon as the person scores any 3 of these, they have won the game. Alright, so there's Pinata. So you probably want to know, if you own Balloon Cup, should you get it? Or if you've never heard of Balloon Cup, should you get it? Let's talk about the latter first. Okay, so should you get Pinata? If you don't have Balloon Cup and never heard of it, it's an awesome 2-player game that you've got to get. It's easy to teach. The theme is fun. It's so colorful. You got all those bright little colors, playing with those little candies, grabbing it out of the bag, randomly putting them on there. It's fun. It's easy to teach. It's fun to play. There is a decent amount of, I wouldn't call it total brain burning, but there is some thinkiness to this, trying to figure out which mat am I going to play on. Should I just call this one dead and go after something else? Or should I almost decoy and throw something here on this other mat, the 4 mat, so he starts to go there so that I can go get what I really want? I love it. It's such a good card game. The theme is wrapped up well. So if you've never even heard of Balloon Cup, you have to get this game. If you like card games and you like 2-player card games, this is one that you absolutely have to check out. Now, if you're a Balloon Cup fan, there are some differences. This isn't just a slapped-on, rethemed version of Balloon Cup. There are some subtle differences in cards and rules, subtle enough that it actually plays like quite a different game. Now, first of all, the card numbers are different. With the different colors, there's only certain numbers on certain colors. For example, the yellow one, the hardest one to get, only has numbers from, I believe, 1 to 3. All the way up where the red cards go from 1 to 7. So that's a big difference because the different colors have only different numbers. So that alone is a pretty big difference. It changes gameplay pretty drastically. Also, there's wild cards with this version where it really adds another. You can't always count cards and see what the other person has. You really have to, the wild cards help you in your strategy as well. So that's different. Also, you have to play on your mat and fill up your mat all the way before you play on the other player's mat. There is a variant in there to play the way the Balloon Cup is, where you can play on either side of the mat. I actually enjoyed having to play on my own mat because it's just a different game. The strategy is different. There are some other subtle differences. So it's not just a plain re-theming, recoloring, and here you go. It's actually gameplay does feel like slightly like a different game. So even if you have Balloon Cup, I would recommend checking out Pinata because you never know. You might actually like this one better than probably one of your favorite card games. So either way, whether you got Balloon Cup, whether you've never heard of it, this is a must-get to check out. Lots of fun.
So much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.